Hello and welcome back to part 4 of our little top-down racing game. We've got a car, we've got a track, we've got a start/finish line, we've got a laps counter. It's all happening, except we don't have anyone to race with. So it's a little bit boring at the moment. Let's fix it. So first things first, because we're going to have 2 players, we can't just have one car called car. So let's take our first car and we're going to rename it to player 1. And then we will 2-finger press or right click on our player 1 car and duplicate it. We now have a player 2 car. Now this car obviously has to be a different color or you are going to be wildly confused about which car is which. So let's make sure we're clicked onto player 2 and then we'll come up to costumes and I'm going to make this car blue. So we'll make sure we're on the fill bucket and I will make the body blue. I will drop the brightness down a bit for the roof. Nice, that looks pretty good. And now we've got 2 different colored cars. But if I press the flag now, oh no, player 2 seems to have gone missing. Where could it be? Whoops, there it is. So we have a problem. The starting value of our second car, our XY coordinates, needs to be different to the first one, because realistically we'd probably want to start the car about here. So given that it is there, let's look at these coordinates. So I'm going to change my X value here for player 2. Make sure we're in player 2. My X value is going to be -19 and my Y value is going to be -143. Now another problem. If I press the flag, that's nice, our cars don't stack on top of each other anymore, but holy moly, I'm now driving 2 cars. But the other problem is that the blue car spawns back when we touch the grass where the red car spawns, and actually we probably want it to reset to about here. So if we scroll down to the bottom here of our player 2 code, again we can see that because this is the blue car up here, which is our player 2. All the way down the bottom, if touching color green, we actually want to go here. So let's change it to X19, Y -149, which is our coordinates here. So now if our blue car touches the grass, it spawns back down here. Much better. Now the next bit's pretty simple. So firstly, because you're going to be playing on the same keyboard as your friend, one of you is going to be using the arrow keys to control their car, and the other person is going to be using WASD. So you need to decide whether or not that's going to be player 1 or player 2. I'm just going to leave player 1 as it is now with the arrow keys, and player 2 we will change the controls for. So W is going to be our up arrow replacement. So we'll scroll down here, we'll pick W. S is going to be our down arrow replacement. Our right arrow is going to be D, and our left arrow is going to be A. So now I can control the red car with my arrow keys, just like that, and I can control my blue car with W, A, S, and D. Now you will notice, however, that the laps counter is no longer going up, and that is because of this. So I'm just pressing the flag again to reset the cars. If touching player 1 and the up arrow key is pressed, let's just check this. Laps changes to 1. Very good. That's kind of working how we want it to work. However, what we don't want is for each car to trigger a lap per se. Okay, so let's go to our variables now. And rather than this being called laps, let's 2-finger press or right click on it. And we will rename this variable to player 1 laps. Okay, and we can leave that exactly where it is. So if touching player 1 and the up arrow key is pressed, because that is the keys that we are using for our player 1. We're using up, down, left, and right, not W, A, S, and D. And it's pressed, so change player 1 laps by 1 and then wait 8 seconds. Perfect, okay? Now, what we can do is we can actually duplicate this whole thing by 2-finger pressing or right clicking up here on the flag and duplicating this. And let's make the same sort of code but for player 2. So to do this, we need to make a new variable called player 2 laps, and we will press OK. And let's change player 2 laps by 1. We need to make it so that if it's touching player 2, and remember our up arrow has been replaced with W. So we will come here and we will change the up arrow to W. And we'll move the player 2 laps up and over to this side, just like that. So another thing we need to check is all the way up here. All right, so currently in player 1, we've got set player 1 laps to 0 at the start. But for player 2, we're also setting player 1 laps to 0 at the start. What we need to do for player 2 is change it to player 2 so that both players' laps get changed. Now then, we may have a problem here. I am going to run that, and then I'm going to run that. We do not have the problem. What I was just thinking was that this wait potentially could have triggered this wait as well, but nope, that is A-OK. So now you can have a little bit of a race. All right, and it's a tricky race, and here I am racing myself, and I cannot concentrate on 2 cars moving at once, so it's a little bit tricky. But you will have noticed that there's a little bit of a problem now. So we could race indefinitely forever and just maybe make an agreement that whoever gets to 5 laps first is the winner, or 10 laps, or whatever you'd like. And that's okay, but because this is a game, we can kind of gamify it a little bit, and we can have a big winner screen or something like that. So we've got a semi-functioning game right now. You can race your friends right now if you want to. So we will leave it there for this video, and we will come back for our final video of this series, part 5, where we will add a game end screen after a certain amount of laps have been achieved. I will see you in the next video.